salutations. Welcome to the Benchmark Podcast. This is YNB Collins. I'm joined with
Brother Wolf here.
And today is one of those days where we take a topic that someone else has covered, add our little put on it, our little spin on it, and hopefully with a little bit of critical thinking and the experiences we've seen, we make a better product and show our own abilities to become a VP and hopefully make a lot of money, because right now, I think it's safe to say, we're in agreement the NBA is garbage. Is that a fair statement?
It is definitely in the dumps right now.
And the funny part is my brother came to me with this topic because I don't like the NBA. Fuck the NBA. The NBA is not a sport.
Let's go even one step further with it. My brother said he never liked the NBA. Not doesn't like the NBA, never liked the NBA.
That's correct. I watched it because there was nothing else to do. And as a bartender currently, what does somebody else want to talk about? And because I have a polarizing topic or stance or whatever you want to call it, people will do a little bit differently. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, basketball is already garbage. There's no fixing the sport because it's inherently flawed. It's one of those, the foundation is flawed, so therefore anything built up on top of it will be lackluster at best.
You have a thing against sports that aren't contact. In your mind, sports have to be contact sports.
Agreed. Yes.
All right. I understand that. Me, on the other hand, when I was a young whippersnapper, a young brother wolf, I used to love watching the some of the classics like Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. I used to love watching Dr. J. I grew up, with the era of like the Pippins and the Jordans and and the Sean Kemps and all of those people, Hakeem Olajuwon. I hope I said that right. And
you did not. you messed up Dream's name like that? Hakeem Olajuwon.
He is a great, and I do apologize. But yes, I grew up with all of those greats. I used to love watching basketball when I was younger, but much like most of today's people, I fall into the wayside of it because it has lost that niche to me that made it good when we were young.
So, I mean, and that's the concern I have. Are we nostalgic and therefore not recognizing that the game has evolved and therefore we need to evolve with it? Or are we correct? Or, as it is said, is it Calium A, Calium B?
I mean, I think the interesting thing would be like, is it an evolution or did it devolve? Because that's what I think is part of the problem.
I think it evolved, and it evolved the only way that made sense. It's one of those. So let's go ahead and go over a few things. First of all, I don't like basketball. Why don't I like basketball?
We're going over this.
It's not a physical game. What I did like, what you saw as well, slam ball.
Yeah.
That was an alternative. It was literally high flying, contact, a different take on what is now the boring game. So I would, if somebody said, "Hey, yo, Collins, I have tickets to a slam ball," I'm like, are they free tickets or do I have to pay for mine? Is this a date? What's going on? And if somebody was like, "Man, I got tickets. You want to go to the game? Let's go, baby. Let's enjoy this." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Have a few drinks and this, that, and the third. But we can't even do that because of what? Malice at the Palace. We'll get into that in a second, but it's a little bit different. But in regard to the physical game, we don't have it anymore because there is a large dichotomy within the NBA. For the period you grew up with, your team hated the other team.
With a passion.
And the greatest rivalry of all time, I'd argue, in the NBA was the Celtics versus the Lakers.
Yes, definitely.
And it's one of those where, and my brother going over my outline script was like, I forgot the Kevin McHale clothesline. I'm like, how could you not? He almost took this. Oh, hold on. Intern, a bunch of links for this. So there were a bunch of noteworthy instances that made me say, okay, I kind of fuck with that game, as opposed to what it is now. So for me, in my opinion, Malice at the Palace was a beauty. That if we could start there, that's what I would make basketball.
I mean, I get
It was American Gladiators.
I get what you're saying. It's almost like it feels like basketball needs to for it to appeal to today's audience. Basketball needs to almost combine with hockey a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure about that, but that's how it feels.
Mind you, you're the one who brought up Bill Lambier's combat basketball.
I mean, I'm just saying, it was I literally played that game, and that game had like 8 teams in it, and I played that game for like about 2 years. Like, I promise you, it's insane. And like, I just played it, like, you could go through, it was one of the first games that I saw that you can go through multiple seasons with teams. And like, I got lost in that game.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. But, you know, you got your rivalries, where it be, you know, Detroit versus whomever, because of the Bad Boys of Detroit, or so forth and so on. We had that rivalry, but what did it go ahead and devolve into? As someone who's admitted he's watched World Star for the wrong reasons.
We all have.
That's the same reason you're watching some of these fights. So now that everybody's all kumbaya and people from different teams are dapping each other off and saying, "What's up, man? Good to see you. How's the wife and kids?" As opposed to, "Grr, I hate you." Mixed messages. You be saying, "No, no, 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 no." When it's really yes, 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 yes. Which one do you want? You cannot have it both ways. And that's an inherent problem that you're doing. So make it physical or make it not. And if you're an advocate for player safety, then what's the problem?
I mean, what I think it also boils down to is the fact that nowadays these players are getting, and maybe they need to take a playbook from the NFL. The NFL has guaranteed money and non-guaranteed money. Maybe some NBA players need to have non-guaranteed money, so that you only get paid if you win. I think that may be a big problem too.
I mean, also, I'd argue that there is an inflation of player worth, but we'll get to that in a second. So, on the physicality aspect, every foul is in danger of becoming a tech. And if you know Ben Wallace, you've seen LeBron do it. I remember Dwayne Wade looked at the ref and got one. Y'all some bitches. Grown men with 5% body fat crying. Punch him.
Just hit him one good time to stop all that noise.
And so to answer the question, they're like, "Who's your favorite basketball player of all time?" Just like the old Kanye, I like the old Charles Barkley. Old Charles Barkley. And I've looked for it and I cannot find it. I have scoured the internet. I remember seeing it by my aunt's house. I was visiting my older cousin, and Barkley was a 76er, and the ref made a really shitty call, and he chased that ref into the stands. Not the Suns game where he jumped the table and was arguing with him. He chased this man into the stands. That's the Barkley I like. The Barkley who, after Shaq fouled him, threw the ball clean at his head.
Yes, and there was an interview where Shaq was like, he was getting ready to go back out there and he was getting ready to mollywop him, and then then what happened was Shaq's mom called Charles's mom, and like Charles and Shaq and Charles's mom got on the phone with him and was like, "What y'all boys doing on that TV?"
And all for what? You know, you're making a grand fool of yourself,
right?
But I mean, going some of the other,
but that's rivalries. That's the heat. That's the heart of the game. Really, that's the heart of basketball.
I thought to quote Tony Baker, I thought it was putting the ball through the hoop.
that when the further and further we get into it, the more and more you look at the fact that when basketball had rivalries in it, that was when we tuned in. That was not we. That was when the majority of people that were watching it tuned in.
I'd argue we need. Okay, you just brought up something before we started recording. Squid Game. As a fan of, we're not saying the first name, but a fan of CA's, Mr. Adonis. There was a interview I saw where he was talking about why Eli Manning doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Excuse me. as an individual who covers slap fight contests, as an individual who gets some of the most ESPN 8 the Ocho sports ever, and they're more entertaining than basketball. Think about that for a second. What would you rather watch? A slap fight or the NBA Cup?
A slap fight. Yeah.
There it is. I mean,
it didn't used to be that way, but yeah.
I mean, another example I always throw is Van Gundy holding on to ankles like he was going to do something. That poor little man. What were you going to do with these 7-foot behemoths? But so let's move on to why basketball really sucks. And the reason being is simple fucking math. 3 is worth more than 2. No shot is 100% guaranteed. You don't believe me? Look up biggest dunk fails and you're going to laugh for a good little while. It's one of those where it's sad, but it's one of those truths of the world. So if 3 points are worth more than 2 points, and depending on the shot, you could get fouled and get more points, or more free throw points, which are easier, or it becomes one of those preferential coaching things. What would you rather have? A guy who can shoot 40% from behind the arc or 80% at inside the paint?
You're going to make more production off the guy that can shoot 40% off from behind the arc.
Well, here's the next wrinkle. What if we have a good rebounder?
Huh?
Then I'm throwing up those threes all the time.
Right.
Like, it's one of those. I wish we had the memory lane button. We don't have the memory lane button. We got to find it somewhere. But you remember playing NBA Jam, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's on fire.
There you go. And I literally was going there. I was a fan of Shaquille O'Neal. I remember seeing him when he was at LSU, and I was like, he's that, like, what? I could see him clearly from the nosebleed seats. That's a big motherfucker.
I remember him in the movie Above the Rim, and I was like, wait, that guy actually plays basketball?
That's called cheating, Your Honor. But the point I'm making is you go ahead and you have somebody like Shaquille O'Neal who, if he is outside of the paint, poo stanky bad. That boy needs to be no further than arm's length from the goal. That's it, right?
Right.
What did you do? You ran up. You did your 3 dunks because his defense was on point. You're on fire. 3. So what's the difference with that and today? There is none.
And I get it. Much like you were saying, it makes sense because they figured it out. I don't know how it took them so long to figure it out, and it's both a blessing and a curse. They figured it out. Basketball scores are rising because of it, but at the end of the day, 3 points. If you can develop a system where everybody on your team can shoot a 3, and small ball succeeds,
why would you do anything else?
Why would you do anything else? The only problem is it takes away some of the excitement because now you're missing out on some of the close-up games that you used to have before. When you used to see big men dunk on other big men and you used to see that battle in the paint, that was something big, for the game.
Well, I mean, going to it further, I mean, I'm going to address it in a bit. Well, let's jump there since you've already jumped there. One of the reasons why I'm a Barkley fan is he literally changed the game. Why? 5-second violation. Can't have you back to the goal for more than 5 seconds, which I think is stupid as shit.
Right.
Like, if he wants to be the wrong way, that's on him. I don't give a shit. Like, what you want me? Excuse me, y'all. The weather's been changing, so I'm a little congested. I apologize. But that's one of those, he wants to face the wrong way. That means he specializes his shot. Is no different, in my eyes, than the motherfucking skyhook. Serious. It's being dead serious. So what else would you do? So you've now got this individual who you've changed that, you've taken that away. You can't do hand checking. And going back to what I said, where everything's a foul, it goes to the obvious point, just like with the. And this is an interesting comparison. I think you'll appreciate, brother. When it comes to the NFL, I'm an NFL guy. If you're to tell me my 3 favorite teams, it's the Steelers, the Saints, and the Chiefs. Steelers football, steel curtain is how football, in my mind, should be played. Hard run, harder defense. Jack Lambert is one of the scariest looking small guys I've ever seen. No abandon when he threw his body. Even though Jack Ham was arguably the more cerebral, depending on whose reports you read, Lambert was a mascot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you might disagree with me a little bit, but I think probably the most hardest hitting teams in the NFL, just over franchise history, have been the Steelers and the Raiders. I think those 2 teams have been the most
Ravens
hardest.
have come up in a recent year, but I'm talking historically.
Yeah.
Because it depends where you go on the tree, because the Ravens were the Browns,
Right.
I'm not playing that
Just
game.
most recent Ravens. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But like when you look at that and you think of real like grind nose football, fighting for those inches, those are the teams I think.
And I'll tell everybody I want Jack Tatum on my team.
Right.
Just like, okay, if you were, I've said this before, if my job is to go ahead and, as John Lynch's punk behind said, make you feel uncomfortable, I'm still kind of sore about his poor explanation of Bounty Gate. And pain is a viable option, why would I do anything else? Why would I do anything else?
That's true.
So you've got no defense, no hand checking. Everything is a foul nowadays, up and possibly a tech. And you can't even go to the ref and say, "What did I do?"
Then that's another one.
Damn, now you're out. And you're like, what's going on? So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. But to go back to the 3-point paradox, there's this great interview with Steph Curry. And it's argued that because Steph Curry is the guy who did what? Ruined the game, because he's the first one that became the on-fire threat, where you didn't just go to the 3-point line. You went beyond, the traditional defensive argument is that your zone is played right at the edge of the key.
Right.
And you don't go chase somebody because those shots can't be made.
But nowadays, he's the one that made it into a thing that, now you got to go beyond the key in order to get.
And now people are open, and that's why there's an argument, is he the best point guard of all time? I'm like, no. The best point guard can create lanes through their ball handling, not through their shooting.
Right.
And that's just a very, very subtle argument.
I might say he's in the wrong position, And
let me go ahead and say something else that I think is going to be unpopular, but I still think true. Why are there positions in basketball? That's just kind of fucking dumb to me.
Right.
It is just like, if I'm choosing somebody, you're telling me I want them to have a 50 in a stat? Think about that for a second. Man, I'm good with that 50. That 75 is doing good. No, I want 99 across the board. If you have 99 IQ or awareness or acumen or whatever you want to call it, 99 height, 99 block, 99 ups, 99 dribble, why would I take anybody else? I'm asking you, seriously. I'm asking you, Brother Wolf.
Well, the only thing I can think of is when it comes to certain specialized stats, you kind of like statistically a great steal, a great person that can make steals during the game is not going to necessarily be the best person at making blocks during the game, because they're looking for 2 different kinds of things. And I think that's what it is. Or the person that makes the most assists during a game may not be the person that is going to be making the most shots, because they're Karl Malone, John Stockton. That argument. They are both great players. Well, some people might argue, but I think most people will say they're both great players, but they both were great players in 2 vastly different areas.
I agree with that.
And I think that's what it is I get shooting guard versus point guard. I don't get small forward versus power forward. I don't get that one.
It's whether I rush to the basket or moonwalk to the basket. that goes back. That goes back to like there's no difference.
And then as far as the center is to me, and that's where this comes into the center position is almost getting lost, like how you would say a running back position is getting lost.
No bullshit. I'm getting to that in a bit. I was about to make that comparison.
Okay.
So now that you brought it up, I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know how the NFL was a passing league, and all of a sudden people couldn't perform until they had a running back.
Yes.
Like, case in point, as someone who wants to shit on the Bills, hey, Eggy, hey, Foggy, just so you know, just because the Bills are coming, the Bills not coming to the Super Bowl in the Superdome. That's not going to happen. Y'all going to be, what's the cannabis line? Second round knockout? No. But the concern is really simple. You have Steph Curry, quote unquote, ruining the game, right? Because he can shoot from almost anywhere within 2 feet of the 3-point line, right? Well, the concern is, number one, just because I can do something don't mean you can do something.
Right.
In that bias, that cognitive dissonance is something you need to deal with, not me. That's number one. And the other thing is this, is that, I'm sorry, you ever heard of a brick wall screen? I have never been scared of Steph Curry in my life. I'm scared of his acumen with shooting the basketball.
All right.
I'm more scared of Aisha than him. And I would really like to meet him. I believe he'd be a cool dude. I really do.
And I do too. But
but the point I'm making is this, is that he broke the bet game, and since everybody else tried to follow suit, you went ahead and went all in and tried to bet big, not having the same pieces that they had, not realizing that, yes, you do need a running back. You do need this. You do need that. Like, case in point, who's the MVP, Lamar or Derrick Henry? If you had to choose one of them for the argument.
I'd say Derrick Henry.
I'd say Lamar. But Derrick Henry did what? Opened up so many more options, so that way Lamar had no choice but to overperform.
Right.
You know?
But when it was just Lamar, he could barely do anything because they had him blocked in all different. But no, it could go either way. But yeah, for me. But yeah.
But that's the point I'm making, is that I believe there is an inherent comparison. Some people might go ahead and shit on me and say, you're out of your mind, Collins. All right, cool. You know, I drink too, so whatever.
I mean, you definitely, more to your point, the Golden State didn't start like really becoming a strong team until they found their rotating big men that they found in order to go ahead and at least throw some of the
Iguodala, Draymond,
throw some of the attention off of Curry so that so that they could get open.
I think you're also forgetting one thing. They enacted the big three in a different manner. The big three, in my estimation, for the Golden State Warriors were Draymond Green, arguably the best defensive mind in basketball for this current era-ish, and then the Splash Brothers. It wasn't just one. Klay Thompson was what? There on the side.
Yeah.
Like, you forgot about me.
Light skin.
And you're just like, so who do you guard?
Right.
Who do you double? You're getting points this play. And if Draymond's getting that rebound like Rodman should, what are you going to do? It to me, it was a fait accompli. But moving on, so the other thing that's a real concern, and I got to shout out to my other bartender, C Money. I think he'll appreciate this if he gets to hear it. The NBA does not run plays anymore. They just run isolation. And because you can't run defense, if it's a one-on-one, I'm going to get the best look because you can't do anything about it.
Right. Your one-on-one, if he's a good player, is going to always eventually wear down. Offense. Yeah, wear down whoever's defending him, even if it's the best defender in the game.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's one of those, what else do you do? So, you know, and then like the NBA killed defense with everything being a foul. Everybody has to do a man chase to their zone outside of the arc, forcing a mismatch. There's nothing you're going to do. You're not going to win that argument on defense.
Right.
So what's the other option?
Especially you can't play hard defense anymore.
Yeah.
That's no longer a thing that you can do. So what do you do?
The concern in my estimation is if you cannot beat them one way, what do? If you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
And the Rockets tried to do that and almost did, except for that game they had like 27 missed 3-pointers. Now, that goes back to what I said. I didn't tell you to miss. I never told you to roll on luxury tax and monopoly. You did that. And that's the part that people don't want to go ahead and address with. But there's a few other small things that I think you'll agree with that we'll say is a problem. My brother, when he was reading through the script, he just put his head down. It was like, you an ass, right? And I'm like, I'm not wrong. Dear NBA, bright-ass neon floors, stop it.
You are giving some of your fans headaches. Some of your non-fans are staying away.
Some. First off, I thought the Milwaukee Bucks were hunter green, not neon citron. Boy, have you seen that unnecessarily electric blue lemonade? I'm not watching this. I'm better off watching a bad seizure fest.
Just deal with your color schemes a lot better.
Dude, you can subdue that. You can do so much better. It is not necessary to be that bright and that unnecessary. And you know what you did? You put all that money into advertising and nobody wants to see it.
All the money you're getting from exclusive contracts guaranteeing that your NBA League Pass won't be available for all the local games. You could go ahead and do that.
All right, I wasn't going to jump to that one already, but for those of you who don't know, let's say we're in New Orleans. Our team is the New Orleans Pelicans. If the game is playing locally, our NBA pass does not allow us to see our favorite team. So it sounds like this is the time for you to go ahead and try our new VPN sponsor. Like that's what I heard you doing. Man, I'm in Albania. Well, we don't have NBA teams. Yeah. Click. Like that's what it sounds like. Like you're so busy trying to. Remember when we were all sitting down, and this is right at the advent of Blu-ray, and now that we have a little bit more disposable income, I had said a while back, if you were to go ahead and take a cartoon series from your childhood, or even a sitcom from your real childhood, or maybe that your mom or dad or maybe your grandparents might like, Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, a few episodes of Young and the Restless, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whatever it is, if you were to put that
Come
on,
and knock on our door.
Moonlighting. I love moonlighting. I was too young.
Walk by night.
But if you were to go ahead and put that on Blu-ray, put that together with some director's commentary, and you could put all that on one Blu-ray, probably or 3 Blu-rays, put an entire season with commentary, could have sold that immediately. But people are so busy trying to scrape away from exclusivity that they're not giving themselves the chance to get to the bigger pot. Don't believe me? Sony Pictures. When have you made a good Marvel movie? You haven't? Why are you still doing it? What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
To quote Lil Wayne, these motherfuckers talking crazy like they jaw broke. Like, what else do you want, man? So you got this bright-ass floor, and that's not necessary. Now, going on to the next thing, and I think you'll appreciate this. Ball handling. The Euro step is traveling. That's the end of the discussion.
Why is that being allowed so much? I thought the standard rule was anything more than 1 step.
2.
Oh, it's anything more than 2 steps.
But the problem is, when you pick up the ball, some people are like, oh, well, he was still going, so it's 2.5. You should be, if that's the case, the rule should be you round down. So if you pick up in your mid-stride, that's your step. That means you get 1 more. That's it. We've solved that problem that easy. And to go back to the 3-point line, I don't want to do this, but I have to give Colin Cowherd credit, and a few other people did it as well. Cowherd's response was move the 3-point line, get rid of the corner 3, move the arc back 6 inches to 18 inches, maybe a foot, depending on how you want to do it. Move the 3-point line back, and then bam, you've just solved that problem. Now you don't have easy threes. Every three is difficult to do. And
That's
by
a
going
good
ahead and
point.
giving up that three, the rebound is automatically in favor of the defense if they're playing on the inside.
That is a good change.
Yeah, that's why, like, I don't want to give Kyle Hurd credit, but salute to him on that one. The other thing is this: there's the celebrity b-ball game. You know how they have zones? Do that. This is the 5-point shot. And if you think I'm crazy and out of my mind, go back down the NFL and look when field goals were worth 4 points and 5 points.
I mean, I was just thinking about in my head, what if they made like a shot that was beyond half court, make that worth 5 points? I don't know.
Same concept. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Yeah.
So do that, and what have you just done? Now, you always almost have to have a trailer because no one can deny the other that position. You might have people whose job is just to stand right there and initiate fast breaks. And as someone who's a hockey fan over basketball, one of the things that I had a problem with was when they got rid of offsides and icing was starting. And I'm like, you know what? Why are we stopping play? If you just want to go ahead and make a line change, get possession, make your line change. Don't force it so you can go ahead and cheat. Don't do that. That's inorganic. Let's do it this way. Same concept. There's things the NBA can do. But this is the one that you're going to go ahead and my brother's probably going to go ahead and get mad at me, but you want to talk about Adam Silver or me?
I think it's on you. I heard it. I know where he's going with this. Brother Wolf does not co-sign it. These are the views expressed strictly by Collins. These are not the views of the Benchmark Podcast. Now go, brother.
I ain't saying they were the views of Collins, too. I'm just noticing some things. I mean, and I quote, Adam Silver is not my commissioner. As a football guy, Goodell fucking sucks. How fucking ever. At least he looks normal and on some money-grubbing level, I can understand him. But unfortunately, by quote-unquote streamlining basketball like every other sport, it has not translated well. And it looks as if it's a pastime as opposed to a game which only the top 15 to 20 players multiplied by 30 teams, which is 450 to 600 players worldwide. It looks like a giant cornhole fest. Everybody's just chilling, hanging out. And one of the concerns is basketball has been on the decline, viewership and ratings and numbers since 2012. It's taking you 10 years to respond. After 3 years, you're like, okay, you have your comprehensive plan yet? How much are you paid to not be able to figure this out?
I mean, you have people doing statistics and doing numbers for all of this stuff for all the time. You have people that look very normal doing all of your numbers for all of this stuff in order to come up with.
Nobody thought to ask Siri.
And it should have easily been. I mean, look at all the things the NFL has tried. The NFL hasn't even really been losing viewership like anywhere near the numbers like this. And
Whoa. Even though I'm a Chiefs fan, Taylor Swift does great on my nerves too. just saying.
But they've been doing the Nickelodeon thing,
stuff,
the slime thing. The NFL has been trying to innovate almost every year to try to the things they do with as far as onside kicks, the things they do as far as
not just onside kicks, just kickoff returns.
Kickoffs. It's like they're going one step. They're like, no, we got to do something in order to keep it what's trending, keep it interesting, prevalent.
Okay,
and that's the thing. Where's this in the NBA? Where are all of these rule changes that need to be happening to keep things up to date in the NBA? And that's the problem.
The bright ass floors, in the lack of alcohol, because we didn't really talk about it, but Malice in the Palace. Because of that one event, alcohol was basically suspended from NBA games. Now, as a New Orleanian, drinking is a culture down here.
You mean to tell me I'm going to be watching something for 3 hours and not going to be able to grab a beer or something like that?
Bruh. I mean, That was your response. Not to go ahead and press charges against the jackass who made a bet. Because there's a video, and I sent it to you, where Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, whatever his name is, when he after the foul, after the hard foul, he calmed his nerves. He went down to the scorer's table. There's an interview on a podcast where somebody was like, "So you attacked the wrong guy?" He's like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "What?" He said when he went and the guy Artest went to strike, he was like, "Yeah, you got it." Come to find out, that guy made his friend a bet and instigated him that he couldn't make that shot onto Artest. So he instigated the friend. So he went after the instigator. Personally, I think he should have hit both of them, but it went into a whole fracas of unnecessary. Is that fair enough?
Right. And look at where that event led us.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those. It's the ramifications were so far wide-reaching that no one wants to deal with this. It's not interesting. And like I said, the best option you've made is the NBA Cup, where if you win this non-committal game, which is just a regular season game, you get a bonus in money. How many 30 for 30s have you seen with broke athletes?
I can't even answer that question.
The one that always comes to my mind is Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, what are you doing? You know? I can't see that. It's not, it's crazy. And then this is where my brother's going to go ahead and slap me, but there's this video game called XCOM Enemy Unknown. It's a strategical, tactical, turn-based game, grid-based, all that kind of stuff. I need you to go ahead and do an image search for XCOM Enemy Unknown Sectoid. XCOM is spelled XCOM space Enemy Unknown. The sectoid is SECTOID. And I need you to look at that picture. Then on your phone, I need you to pull up a picture of Adam Silver and tell me the difference. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
As I said, Benchmark does not condone that comment at all.
But it would make sense that an alien could not figure out how to make this game interesting when it was... When did Dr. Naismith invent it? 1896 or something like that?
Yeah, 1896, I believe. That was it. You got the right year.
And this game has been playing for over... And what's the first thing you do? Blow it straight to hell. What? How? You're the only person... Well, what's the line from MC Jin? You're the first person to open a fortune cookie saying you're a loser.
Oh, wow.
It hurts. And this is not the game I want to see. Like I said, I want to see slam ball. They got helmets, they got protective gear, you know. They're doing, and we know what the rules are, and there's no need to go unnecessary. Cool. What else do we need?
I mean, I get it, and like I said, the problem is basketball lost what made it fun. I think that's what it comes down to, and you know, it's become a system. Going on the system point, everything that they said also, part of the reason why the rivalries are gone is because the players are moving around like crazy and they're creating super teams in order to try to combat it. And as we've seen in almost every sport, a super team is never an exciting time period in any in
you hear that, Patriots fans?
In any sport, basically, if there is never a chance that one team is going to lose, then nobody tunes in order to watch all the other teams get beaten by that one team. Mm-hmm. And so when you have...
It's why I stopped watching the Olympics. I'm sick of Team USA always winning. That's why the Turkish shooter, he was a sensation. That boy didn't have nothing but his left hand in his pocket and a whole carton. Don't give a fuck. If I ever needed to go ahead and hire a gunslinger, let me put it to you this way. I'm not a Tarantino fan. You know that. Mm-hmm. But if Tarantino got him in a movie, I'd go buy a ticket. I would love to see what he does. Put him in the next John Wick. Look, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
So the last thing that was brought up was the politicized left. Now, at this point, I'm not commenting on either side of it. You have a platform, you're trying to do something with it. And I don't care that people are using their platform to reach the masses. But one of the things we specifically try to do here on Benchmark is not bring that up, because you hear it all fucking day and all you want to do is just try and do better. If you got 6 one way and half a dozen the other, you don't want to hear anything different from your argument. Find something else we can talk about. So that's why we don't do that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you sit down. Benchmark is like you're sitting down at the bar, you're having a drink, and you're listening to the conversations at the bar. When you go to a sport like football, like basketball, like hockey, or anything like that, you're just sitting down and you want to get lost in the sport for a while. You don't want to think about everything else.
Yeah, it is escapism to the highest degree.
Right.
So what are we doing? And I mean, you went to it quicker than I did, but as a New Orleanian, I had to name this the Aaron Brooks protocol. And you brought it up earlier where you were like, we pay losers, or if you don't win, you don't get paid. I bet you that'll get people on point real quick. And if you want proof, you're a pro wrestling guy, you're a pro wrestling fan, and John Oliver had a last week tonight where he went over it. Most of your wrestling superstars are 1099 independent contractors. Right. If you made basketball players 1099 independent contractors, I bet you that shit would change. That's the next way to up that ante.
Yeah.
You get paid upon cash on delivery. You didn't deliver? What'd you do? Blue balls, son. Blue balls. I'm not even trying to be facetious, but that's it. So,
and that would make, like I said, much like the NFL is smart for doing as far as guaranteed money versus not guaranteed money. Make sure that they have to earn some of that paycheck. Yeah, they got these big paychecks. They got to earn some of it.
Yeah. So once we go ahead and add all that together, what do we do to solve it? Well, like I said, I agree with Cowherd where you don't like just the 3-point contest. What do? We shift the line back and at least kick the can down the road. So that's option number 1. Option number 2, you allow these boys to play defense. You've heard it said multiple times, when it comes to playoff time, you don't, unless it is egregious, some fouls or infractions, I should say is a better word, just don't get called. What's the saying? Let them boys play.
Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but
you're wrong.
Of course you were going to say that.
You made it easy.
There is much less defensive and offensive pass interference called during the playoffs, I think.
Just infractions in general.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Let defense come back. Let hand checking be a thing. Let people go ahead and now one thing I do.
Where is the press? Where is that defensive?
I'll tell you why. Rudy Gobert's COVID ass scared him away. You licking microphone motherfucker. That's what it was. I can tell you that. Like, regardless of what you think about COVID, bitch, what? Ooh, I bet you don't wipe well either. Oh, you nasty.
You nasty pun.
You nasty. Ooh. Oh, nope. That's what it is. Like, would you really want to see that? A 7-foot unnecessary, can't speak the language, but was proven a point, and then got fined and looked stupid. Whatever. So, do you have any? I mean, we went back and forth, but did you have anything else you might want to add? Want to go ahead and go over again?
A lot of the same stuff that we mentioned during the Olympics podcast. A lot of it.
Do not have Rachel Gunn breakdance.
Yes, that part too. But also maybe commentators. Maybe we need to have some new commentators.
So
new
Snoop Dogg needs to be a basketball coach?
Hey, say it wouldn't work. I think it would.
Oh, I already said I'm sick of Bob Costas. Like that I'm sorry. Go your ass to not St. Jude, Mount Sinai, and just go ahead and just have get your Jello and pass out.
Although I do have to say, Chuck and Shaq do some nice commentary when they're doing that.
Kenny needs to leave. Ernie can stay. Kendrick Perkins needs to go the hell away. Like I've never seen somebody who just ugh. So I mean, so who would I put up there? Another sports person. This is part of the issue is that I don't know. Like who else would I want to hear from? And part of it is hearing their voices.
Right. They have to be entertaining, but also knowledgeable.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Is like I said, but the point is the ones that we have now outside of Chuck and outside of Shaq.
So wait, back up for a second, because that's one of the things that was mentioned. But I want to talk about station commenters versus non-traditional media commenters, bloggers, YouTubers. If you're posting on X, whatever the case may be, versus somebody who you're going to see on a broadcast. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's I think that I want to make sure that difference is clarified. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Apologies for interrupting, brother.
No, it's okay. But outside of them, and like you said, maybe Ernie will work. But
no, I'm fine with Ernie. Ernie is your straight man, but there are times when he cracks and it's fucking hilarious. But I also think he's a cool guy. And also, how tall do you think Ernie is?
He looks very tall. I'm
compared to Shaq, or
well, he's smaller than Shaq. So I'm gonna say let's go with maybe 6'2".
Yeah.
6'2".
He's 6'2", and he still looks smaller than them boys. Think about that for a second.
I mean, here's the funny thing is, Charles has always looked short because of everybody else that he's always been around. But Charles ain't short. He's a normal guy.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Wait. How?
Well, first off, I was just making fun of normal. That was number one.
He's not a normal guy.
If you are collegiately educated and still say terrible, we have a problem. And like I said, I would love to have a beer with this guy. I'm not even sitting there joking with you.
Right.
But no, he's 6'6".
Oh, yeah, dang.
Yeah. Yeah, look,
to say he's short compared to everybody else.
He's a short power forward, but he's like 260, 270.
Yeah.
He's like a defensive
Like they
end.
used to say about Shaq, it's like posting up against a refrigerator. You're not going to win.
Man, snack machines don't move, do they? No, they don't. That's why you have a dolly.
And that's the thing, is guys like Shaq wouldn't make it in today's NBA. Why? Because he would foul out by probably about the second quarter because they would be calling a foul just from off him playing good D.
You know what? Here's another thing that concerns me as well. There are some things that I do believe should not happen. Like if I barely graze against you, that should not be a foul. Just air-to-air body contact should be fine. But if I obviously slap your hand and affect the trajectory of the ball, that's a foul. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Reaching in does not make fucking sense to me, especially when you reach in, but you can go ahead and slide it in and cause a jump ball.
Right.
What? Get rid of reaching in.
Right.
That's an immediate right there. That's one of those, get rid of that, you know.
I think it should be almost like the NFL. If they're going after the ball, that should be part of play. But if they're not going after the ball, if they're going after the player, then that's when it should be some form of foul or something like that. That's
I guess what I'm getting at is this: as excuse me, as someone who, like I said, I watch some of the officer audits and First Amendment audits and all that kind of stuff. There are times where, like a bad horror movie, you're screaming at the TV. You're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" My big concern is that contempt of cop or cop ego is so big that you wonder where the term officer discretion comes in. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to that? Like, did you see what happened to Ice-T recently?
I did not.
Ice-T got stopped. He was literally feet away from the DMV. I'll show you the video later, but feet away from the DMV. He got stopped by a cop, and Mr. Morrow shows an envelope full of paperwork. He's like, yeah, I'm coming over here to go ahead and get all my stuff situated. I came yesterday, nothing happened. Oh, well, you've been driving this car? No, man, it's been parked. Well, how do I know? You think Ice-T is poor? I was literally confused. He had 7 cars. So back to refs. There are sometimes you use a little bit of discretion and let that shit slide. You know, I mean, not every time. You got to call every 5th time. You got to call it. Cool, whatever. Or James Harden, he just can't allow to Eurostep ever again. Or, you know, maybe get the professor, give him a good NBA shot. Just say, you know what? If we're going to allow that, we can allow Grayson Boucher to go ahead and do some of his ball handling skills and get somebody just cankles broke. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's so many other things we could do. But I guess the question I have is, what does this do for collegiate basketball? Because collegiate basketball is the segue to the NBA. And I don't know of another small league. Like, you know, there's the XFL, the CFL. You know, what do you have in the realm of basketball? The G League in G League, Europe and China? That's it? You literally have to leave the United States to go play ball?
Yeah. I don't think that there's a...
Even though it's technically a Canadian game, I'm aware.
They have 3-on-3 leagues and stuff like that. They have, and ones and, you know, all of that stuff. But
yes, I like the Harlem Globetrotters too. Stop it.
But at the end of the day, like you said, that may be part of the problem is they didn't have... There's not a strong alternative out there to keep them innovating.
And I mean, as much as I make fun of Mr. McMahon, what did he do? When he brought the XFL, I tuned in. I did. I wanted to see other people who didn't quite get a chance to do something.
Right.
And I thought it was worthwhile because don't we believe that in competition, innovation is necessary? You know what I mean? Don't we believe in that? So what's the problem? Why can't we have Tony Khan, your favorite promotion owner? He's the part owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know that. You're telling me that somebody else doesn't have enough money to go ahead and put their own league? Like, for example, Jerry, you got that big-ass stadium. You know what you need to do? Make your own little small basketball league, and that means what? You want to play basketball? You're coming down to my stadium, because this is where my league is, and you come play, and we have a 9 weeks 9 weeks is a season, and every 9 weeks we have a new tournament. That's the easiest way to get picked up, in my opinion. Jerry, that's a free idea for you. You already make $1 billion a second.
I mean, there you go. The Cowboys don't play their year round, so you know
the Cowboys don't play year round. Lord forgive me, but Jaden Daniels beat y'all ass today. Shout out to Mr. Daniels. You're doing good, baby. But yeah, so you already have a lack. So if you're in Dallas, what are your options? Driving to Austin, driving to Houston, watching the Dallas Stars, and if you're not a hockey fan and you want to watch the Mavericks, we already said viewership is down, and you can't watch it because of NBA Pass.
Right?
So, Jerry, you go ahead and you already got the room. Boom, 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 boom. You immediately build some shitty motels up right there. Boom, boom, boom. Get some people in. Boom. Just cycle them through. Cycle them through. Cycle them through. You could go ahead and have somebody be a head umpire, head ref, and that could be their side hustle.
All right.
You know what I mean? That's free ideas. And yet nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna see something bad. You know what's gonna happen? We're gonna get a stop and desist that no, I do not look like a sectoid.
I mean, but yeah, that's it. And much like how they did with the XFL, NFL, they could have like the new basketball league have certain rules. Like we were saying, maybe eliminate the 3-point shot. Maybe they could do that.
And one of the reasons why I'm a fan of Kareem over MJ as the GOAT, he made all those points with what, 3.2, 3 3-pointers? He didn't make threes, and he had all those points. So what's the best option?
Right.
You know? Or just do it old school. When we played ball, when we were kids, what happened? Every shot's worth one. Winner take out, go.
That works.
And that meant what that did was it made a force equity. So if all you could do was drive, you could slash. It didn't matter if you couldn't shoot threes because the 3-point shot didn't exist. Everything was worth one. So how's that for an option?
Yeah, it is a very good option. So I mean, I just think altogether these are all useful ideas that maybe they might use. Shoot, to be honest with you, NBA could take a line out of some other groups and just form their own competition. They could form another alternative to their game, and then that could breed that.
I hate to say this, but hey, Donald Sterling, even though you sold your team, you got how many billion from selling the Clippers?
Right.
How about, crazy thought, you use that money to do that in Los Angeles?
Right.
You're telling me, and here's the other thing. Another idea on this same concept. Rucker Park already does something. You telling me New York can't do something too?
I mean, most of these places are just spitting out sports teams anyway. They need sports teams because they got so many doggone freaking people in the cities. They need other forms of entertainment. So like places like New York, places like Los Angeles.
This is where you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one thing I knew we forgot something that we forgot to talk about that had to be explained to me that you don't remember. Can you name all of the Major League Baseball teams in California? I can't either, so just to make sure, I'm not trying to tease you, but as a test, can you name them all?
Can I name them all? Probably not. I could say Los Angeles Dodgers or one that I could go ahead and go with. San Francisco Padres? Is that it? I think it might be Padres. I know I'm missing out on some major ones. But go ahead.
All right. Oakland A's.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I was missing out on some major ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
San Francisco Giants.
That's it. The Giants, not Padres.
The San Diego Padres.
That's what I was combining the two.
That's why I didn't want to say nothing. Mm-hmm. But you have 3 teams. Guess which one gets played the most and guess which one gets played the least.
The Oakland Athletics.
Padres. They're a small market. And what happens to a small market team? They get subsumed by everything else. Mm-hmm. So, and this is an easy example, we're in New Orleans. We're Gulf Coast, right? Mm-hmm. Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama all belong to the New Orleans Saints. But because we are so sparsely populated, we don't even compare to Texas. So when you get to Shreveport, Lake Charles, that becomes close to the Cowboys-Texans land. That's the local game that you're going to see.
Okay.
So you now have some teams that just aren't even being played. Think about that for a second. And you've just made it that much harder because, oh, well, I'm going to spend this little bit of money and get my NBA pass. So after a hard day's work, I can crack my beer since I can't go to the damn stadium and do it and watch this. And what happened? Game is not played in your area. Tell me that would not force you to rip the last few Homer J. Simpson hairs out your head.
You make a valid point, brother. Definitely.
So, Mr. Silver, what you gonna do, bro? This is in your hands to solve. Right. You're literally the one that's paid and elected to address the situation. And if you don't want them few $100 million, I know 2 people who are already podcasting that want it.
Yep. Oh, we make it good. We definitely make it good. How Bender used to say on Futurama, would he add to anything in order to make it better? I can't say it. But if anybody knows and is a Futurama fan, they know that there's booze.
There's snoo.
You can add that to any game and it makes it better.
Hey, man, we can have the Diddy League. So, I mean, this is the point we're making. You have all these great venues. Like, you're telling me going to Madison Square Garden, you've got Knicks, you've got the Rangers, we can't do nothing with another. So this is my concern, Mr. Silver. What are you doing? Or in the worst case scenario, are you constrained by something we don't realize? Is there a bylaw that's preventing you from acting?
Even if so, if that's the problem, then you need to get rid of that bylaw.
Yeah, why can't we just go ahead?
If you're in charge, you need to just do something about that. You know.
I mean, I know I've done my part. I'm not a fan of basketball, but I gave y'all ideas on ideas on ideas, and I'm pretty sure on a scale of yes to no, the answer is no. You're not going to enact anything I said, and yes, you're going to fuck it up.
I mean, the last innovation I think they did was they started having basketball teams in Canada. That was it.
No.
However long that was ago. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like, that was the last one. I think they did that to try to garner new fans. Yeah, and that's been way too long. Y'all need to start innovating more since then. Because other than that, you wind up becoming a dinosaur, you know? Yeah.
I literally looked it up on Google. AI overview. Fuck, that's what I wanted. Otherworldly engineering. Rather than being inflated, the airless Gen 1 basketball ball relies on a 3D printed polymer lattice structure to replicate the bounce, flight, and
they
field.
changed the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the last thing.
All right.
I knew it was something I couldn't remember, that it was painfully obvious. But here's another example. You're telling me the WNBA can't do things besides have Caitlin Clark and then chase her out the fucking league? Maybe we need to go ahead and raise the rim. Maybe we need to recess the rim. Maybe we need to go ahead and make a bigger hoop. Maybe we need to make a smaller hoop.
Maybe we need a hoop that fights back. I don't know.
Maybe we need 2 hoops.
That's true. Ooh, one hoop worth one group of points and a hoop higher up worth more points. So,
options.
Yeah.
Like at this point, but none of them gonna come through. Well, you know, you're interrupting the integrity of the game. I thought the point was money. Money.
Yeah.
Brother, what else you have to add? Because I'm so disgusted with this because there's no reason I should have talked about over an hour on basketball.
Hey, NBA, I hope this helps you heal. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, man, I'm for the shuttering of the league. That way
we know that.
We can go ahead and get some better programming on in the first place. I mean, we could have Squid Game come to the U.S.
Oh, God. Yeah. On that, I think it's closing time.
Why don't you love me?
Thank you for listening to the Benchmark Podcast, a product of Benchmark Media LLC. We'd like to remind our listeners that the views and opinions expressed are strictly the views and opinions of each individual and does not reflect the stance
really
of Benchmark Media.
Individuals.
Any opinion stated is not to be construed as professional advice or help. Our intro and outro music is the Acid Trumpet by Kevin McLeod. Listen under Creative Commons. Contact us at the Real Benchmark Podcast at gmail.com or our website, www.therealbenchmarkpodcast.com.
It's real.
Donate paypal.me/Benchmark Media LLC or Cash App at $ The Real Benchmark.
Yeah.
Please don't buy him any more drinks. He doesn't need it right now.